And welcome to the Daily Space Weather, viewers. Whether you're viewing on YouTube, BitChuteMinds.com, Twitch.tv/smAsho, or wherever you happen to be, welcome. Starting things out here looking at the local yellow dwarf in 304 angstroms. Some significant filamentary activity in the northeast. Let's zoom in. And there you see those plasma filaments. We're looking at 9.5 hours here on December 28th. Here's the southern portion, complete with time and date stamps. And you see that bright region, formerly sunspot 2753. Still doing some activity there. Here's a view in 193 angstroms. No sunspots on the solar disk, and a diffuse coronal hole trailing that plage, as well as north of it, closer to the equator. It's a pretty diffuse coronal hole system. Not expecting a super powerful wind stream coming out of that. Expect that in a couple of days. And here's the northern portion in 193 angstroms. There does appear to be a sunspot on the far side of the sun. We'll get to it in a minute. First, let's look at the X-ray data. GOES electron flux is flatline over the past 2 days. Here's the GOES X-ray imager. We do see a small bright spot kick off there right on the western limb. That happened yesterday, around when we did the show, actually. Otherwise, not a lot of X-ray activity. You see the brightest region is that active plage, former sunspot 2753. Again, thanks everybody who's tuning in to the Twitch streams. We make these videos live streamed for a reason, and it's because all of the data is pretty much real time. So I know it takes about an hour or an hour and a half to get these on YouTube. Here's the HelioViewer view of that active region. And there you can see the field associated with that. Let me zoom in a little closer to that real quick. And there's the full view. Check it out. You can see the way those fields are interacting here. Let me just fade out once again so you can see the way the plasma loops in between the fields. Plasma follows fields, folks. Plasma follows the fields. 10.7 centimeter radial flux still at 72. Right around this orange line we've drawn in. And we see an extended KP0 for the past 6 hours. And 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7. And of the past 21 hours, 17 of those have been KP0. So, have you ever heard of phosphines? Phosphines are when you see flashing light, not from the outside, but from the inside. If you close your eyes and gently press on your eye, you'll see these strange lights start to appear. It'll look like you're on hallucinogenic drugs. And they can be induced by mechanical, electrical, or magnetic stimulation of the retina or visual cortex, as well as random firing cells. And guess what? One of the ways that phosphines can be generated is via cosmic rays. Cosmic rays penetrate deep into the planet, and they're going through your head right now, folks. So electrical stimulation is one of the ways that this happens, as a secondary particle shower gets created inside of your head. And for instance, the Apollo astronauts reported seeing phosphines when they were in space, And the most likely explanation would be from cosmic ray flux. Let's look at cosmic ray flux, and we see a small uptick at apatity over the past day, but fairly flat over the past 30. Barentsburg, not quite as exciting as apatity there. Let's go to Athens next. Look at their neutron monitor. I believe it's a neutron monitor. There's the Athens neutron monitor, showing a small uptrend over the past 30. Next, we'll look at Mexico City. And there's the last 30 days at Mexico City. Pretty flat there. Next, we'll look at Moscow. And there is the Moscow neutron monitor, typically showing a fairly large range up there at Moscow, and pretty flat over the past 30 days as well. And lastly, we'll look at Oulu, Finland, and DOMC, Antarctica. There's Oulu. And some pretty significant spikes here over the past day, but quite flat over the past 30. And here's DOMC, Antarctica, sending back spotty data, and we always leave links to the Network of Cosmic Ray Stations site that we use regularly on the channel. We see a highly variable solar wind over the past 24 hours. Current phi angle is around 207. Could be a magnetic connection with that coronal hole feature, as it is right in the Earth-facing region. So that's something to monitor throughout the day. The phi angle, see if that hovers around 180, as it looks like it connected here for a brief period. Solar wind density has varied over the past 24. Current reading is around 5.6 protons per cubic centimeter. Solar wind speed currently around 359 kilometers per second. It looks like it's finally steadying out there. And there's the data from ACE looking similarly. Electron flux is quite cratered right now, especially the GOES 16. You can see indicated on the blue line there, practically at the bottom of its measurable range. GOES 14 showing a little higher levels of electron flux. Relativistic electron flux quite low also. We see continued ionospheric anomalies. We're looking at the ionospheric map here, 6 hours, courtesy Bureau of Meteorology of Australia. And we see these charge-up events happening here in the South Pacific, as we've been seeing for a solid month. You can see the ionosphere is charging up at nighttime down here. And actually tonight we're looking for one of the most extreme disparities yet, because we're seeing one of the highest daytime charge-ups we've seen in quite a while here, making it all the way up to 10 megahertz there, shown in maroon, all the way up to 11 megahertz indeed. So there's going to be a huge charge up, charge down at the South Atlantic anomaly, and then a huge charge up again in the South Pacific. GOES magnetometer is in a fairly smooth range here, as we are solidly in the South Pole oriented portion of the current sheet, which is depicted here on the Gong 2 data in red. Here's what we're talking about when we say there's a sunspot on the far side of the sun, most likely. You see this area of blue suspended plasma out here. That is because the plasma blocks the fields, folks. And something is suspending it out there, and guess what it is? A magnetic field. Anyway, we're going to be remaining solidly in the South Pole portion of the current sheet here for an undisclosed period of time. This data is 1 hour and 17 minutes old, and that active region there on the far side of the sun is most likely south of the solar equator. We won't get into the magnetohydrodynamics of how it works today. We'll save that for another video. Next, we'll look at the magnetosphere movies, like we do most days. And it's pretty steady and pretty low pressure as we see a weak magnetosphere. No surprise, we see quite a low solar wind speed and a low solar wind density. So there's the weak magnetosphere. Not a lot of pressure generated even in the magneto tail. And let's look at the ground magnetic perturbations here. Geospace delta B, changes in the B field. Please leave a comment if you're viewing the video from another plane of existence, planet, galaxy, solar system, universe, multiverse, time, spacecraft. Anyway, there are the magnetic perturbations. They're going to be centered on both North Poles and the South Pole, which is creeping into the Indian Ocean. Here's where stuff is in the solar system. There's where it'll be in 1 week on January 4th. And what are you doing for New Year's Eve? Leave us a comment. By the way, if you've got a low eastern horizon and you've got a good view of the ecliptic, you should be able to see Mars rising before the sun, still in the constellation Libra. If you get a photograph of that with your telescope, please leave a comment. We'll feature it on the channel. Let's talk about cosmology real quick. The cataclysmic variable J0130 has been showing a regular eclipsing event every 0.149 days. This thing loses a massive amount of magnitude. Now, this is thought to be a white dwarf, which is orbiting a more normal star and siphoning material off of it. Not through an accretion disk, apparently, in this one. This looks more like some sort of a cataclysmic nova-like star. And you're going to see this one in the news over the next year, probably, as this one warrants more study. And no, I don't think it's a Dyson sphere. No, I don't. Anyway, if you want to read about the variability of J0130, we've left links to that below the video as well. And thanks for everybody tuning in to the YouTube premiere. Let's look at the last 24 hours of earthquakes. Just going to scroll up the list here. Here's a deep one under a volcano at Alaska. Only a 2.5 magnitude, though. There's a 5 magnitude out in the Aleutian Island chain. Looks like a small earthquake downtick, folks. Not a lot of deep quakes. Not a lot of quakes, period. Here's a deep one in Indonesia. That one at 149.5 kilometers. And nothing over a 6 magnitude. Let's talk about Sakurajima, as I have noted its location here on windy.com. And if you're wondering where Sakurajima is located, this is where it is. It's this small volcanic peninsula. And let me zoom out here to show you where that is. Very far north in the Japanese islands. And there's a location of that. But more importantly, I wanted to show you the webcam, as Sakurajima has a webcam, and you can access it on windy.com. They've got a free mobile app you can download. And right here, you see that green camera? There's the Sakurajima cam. And for some reason, it's just showing stars now. When I was doing show prep, it was showing the volcano, so I don't know what's up with that. Maybe we can see an eruption if we go back. I guess not. Anyway, the webcams on windy.com are an interesting feature. Perhaps check that out as we put hearts over the top of volcanoes. Anyway, let's look at the pressure systems. Here's where the pressure systems are currently. And I'm going to let that advance. That's the GFS model forecast, folks. We'll just let that advance about 24 hours, so you have some idea what's going on with the pressure. And there's midnight Sunday, and going into Sunday, we'll pause right around there at 12 noon Zulu time. And let's move on. Volcano rundown includes Mount Aso back on the list. Flight level 7,000 there. Sakurajima, as we talked about, exploding, producing a 5,000-foot ash plume. Dacono, continuous emissions there. Explosive activity, 7,000-foot ash plume. Mount Fuego has dissipated its ash. Revenador, exploding, flight level 16,000. And Sabancaya, please don't pole vault it, as it is exploding too, and producing emissions to 24,000 feet. What are you doing for New Year's? Come stream with us. We'll stream live to YouTube and to Twitch. Probably from 11:30 to 12:30. To be announced. 11:30 to 12:30. You heard it here first, folks. It's the New Year's Eve dual stream. Let's look at the snowfall forecast for New Year's. And there's 12 Zulu on Wednesday, January 1st. South Dakota is going to have 14 inches of snow. And we are still going to be snow-free. By the way, yesterday in Hazleton, Pennsylvania, I saw snow on the ground at over 40 degrees. Let's talk about Principia Scientific. Now, we lost an anti-anthropogenic global warming alarmist type person, Hans Schroeder. Rest in peace, Hans Schroeder. Died on December 4th, 2019. I just wanted to cite this website for you, Principia Scientific. And I wanted to just cite this article here. The anti-humanist agenda of evil and witchcraft. Now, a lot of people turned to witchcraft after the election of Donald Trump. I don't think the curses worked out, but please leave a comment if you know the status of the curses placed on Donald Trump. Anyway, it's an interesting article about the agendas and becoming a slave to complete nonsense. I know you're scared, Sabrina, because women are taught to fear power. Own your power. Don't accept it from the Dark Lord. Take it, wield it, and save your friends. Yes. Submit to Satan and save your friends through witchcraft. Minor arcana weak-ass magic designed to do very specific things to weak-ass people with weak-ass ideas. Yes, witchcraft gets political, folks. It's the perfect religion for liberal millennials. Casting votes, casting spells, kind of smells. Check out Greta Thunberg. Is she looking particularly satanic in this? I don't know. She's doing the witchcraft finger point hex, I guess. I don't know. Whatever. Turns out there's an anti-humanist agenda on the planet, as a lot of people idiotically think carbon dioxide has anything to do with the Earth's climate. Okay, Boomer? Anyway, check out the article at Principia Scientific. And by the way, here's Hans Schroeder's page, which is entitled, I Love My Carbon Dioxide. He's citing the fact that carbon dioxide is not a pollutant. And he's even suggesting that carbon dioxide cools the planet, not warms it. He claims carbon dioxide cools, you fools. So anyway, perhaps check that out. Apparently, global warming, man-made global warming in the form of carbon dioxide causes very warm weather, very cold weather, falling autumn leaves, falling presidential approval ratings, warming on Mars, squirrel attacks, and balding climate scientists not being able to get dates. Anyway, check out that page, share with your friends and with your foes, as well as this one, Greta Boomers and Witchcraft, the hidden gross agendas which are utterly anti-humanist and innately evil in nature. value-added services coming at you. All right, way to go, Weather Underground. It refreshed itself. Heavy storms over the central U.S., as well as heavy snow and some serious ice storm there in South Dakota. Looks like a bad time. And let's zoom in on Texas, as I believe there is some lightning striking. And that's a nasty, fast-moving set of storms. It'll be gone as fast as it showed up, folks, but that's going to be kicking up some damage, possibly. Things like damaging wind and hail, maybe. The coloring looks kind of weird. And that's going to be some heavy storms there, folks. What happened? Here we go. Let's talk about lightning. Shout out to Neil Thompson for sharing this one with the Electric View Group. Lewis Stone Circle has star-shaped lightning strike. Now this is done using, I believe it's sonography, to look at the ground under the ground, because there's too much peat on top of this area, and there's only one standing stone. This is what we think the Neolithic site used to look like. And the thing about it is, was the structure built there as a result of the lightning strike, or was the lightning strike a result of the structure, or were they unrelated? I have a feeling that they probably built the monoliths there on purpose around the lightning strike. Anyway, the monolithic site is estimated to be about 4,000 years old, called the Colonus Standing Stones. Again, it's not clear whether the monoliths were built before or after this giant lightning strike. And it's nice to see that some folks are understanding geologic features as lightning strikes and not impact craters. So shout out. And we've got some lightning striking here, it looks like, in Oklahoma. Let me zoom in. lightningmaps.org. And where's the leading edge of this thing? There it is. Hey, Woodward. Hey, Woodward, Oklahoma. There's thunder rolling in. And I did not mean to do that. I don't know what's happening. All right. And welcome to the live chat, Be Stoic. Be Stoic Primer. One of our top commenters. Anyway, there's the lightning maps. There's where lightning's striking. Check out lightningmaps.org. Next time you hear thunder, you'll be amazed. You'll be able to actually see the lightning strikes coming in before you hear them, and you'll be able to guess when you'll hear them. Freak your friends out. And we've got major Hall current lines forming here. First, let's look at this convergence zone over the Texas-New Mexico border, because it is quite a convergence. Hey, what's the deal here? Oh, there we go. And looking at the NASA GOES interactive satellites, water vapor map. There's that convergence. Man, oh man, some serious pressure gradients kicking off there. And that dry air is just taking its time and stagnating there. Expect to see some interesting clouds over southern Colorado. Anyway, let's move up to farther. Let's go to West Virginia here also, as I see major Hall current lines perpendicular to the mode of water travel. See all those parallel lines there? It's not contrails, it's not chemtrails, it's Hall currents. And these tend to form perpendicular to electrical currents and or magnetic fields. And I'll let that play through one more time. Remember, the resolution on that map is 2 kilometers. And thanks to our patrons. Please consider becoming a patron if you haven't already done so. Help support our channel. We're punching up, and there is a lot of stuff for us to do in 2020, most of which is not yet divulged. And thanks, smAsh team, we've got bonus segments. So stay tuned for the That Is an Ass and That Is a Hole in the Ground section, where we go vulgarity free. And we continue on with the broadcast. We talk about fast things. Let's talk about S2. Now, S2 is the second closest star to Sagittarius A star, which is the massive radio source located at the core of the Milky Way galaxy. This particular star happens to be traveling at approximately 11 million miles per hour. Let's talk about slow things. Actually, let's keep talking about fast things. First responders are fast. Minutemen are fast. S2's fast. And so is Broadcastify. Would you like to listen to your local police scanner? Well, all you got to do is just search. And for instance, if you want to listen to Cleveland police, well, there's 1,140 people listening. Let's hear what's going on in the police scanner at Cleveland. Anyway, it's that simple, folks. Just look up your local stuff, and you will be able to find your local emergency scanners. You don't need a scanner through the airwaves anymore, as Broadcastify is sending it through the internet for you. Let's talk about things that are slow. Giant bureaucracies that can't get out of their own way, such as huge multinational corporations and governments. Governments are really fast at one thing: spending a lot of money that they don't yet even have. Here's the U.S. national debt number. And how come they're not spending money to harden the grid? The single most significant threat to you as an American, or really as anybody else around the world, as a grid failure would cause a catastrophic cascade of destruction, considering the grid is required to build a transformer, which would be needed if transformers blew out because of a thing like a Carrington event, or an electromagnetic pulse, nuclear war, that sort of thing. How come the couple $2 billion has not yet been spent to harden the U.S. power grid? How come the U.S. government keeps spending money on such stupid things? Such as looking for links as to how carbon dioxide raises the temperature and screws up people's pregnancies. All kinds of other idiotic ideas like this. Check out securethegrid.org.com, actually. As somebody is talking about hardening the grid, check out all these companies that are already working on it. Instant Access Networks, Siemens, they're building bullet-resistant transformers. EM Primus, Jackson, a distinguished leader in electromagnetic pulse hardening and survivability. E3 Tech Mitigation Technology, ETS Lindgren, Hardened Structures, Hardened Shelters, Mission Secure. So, folks, some folks are working on it. And by the way, don't wait on Washington to fix it. Tell your most local official and your state official to harden the grid in your region. Now, this is a rabbit hole that I got into as a result of following Broadcastify, as I heard a bunch of sirens, and I was listening to the local police scanners to see if I could figure out what was happening. Incidentally, I couldn't, but it led me to tell our viewers to hold your legislators responsible, as they work for you, not vice versa, and you're paying taxes for a reason. The main reason is for air superiority, so Russians and Chinese planes can't drop bombs on you. About the second most important thing that there is the grid, as if the grid goes down, society crumbles in about 36 hours. Everything will be off the supermarket shelves in about 12 hours, folks. Perhaps also check out Electricity Today magazine, as hardenthegrid.com, or securethegrid.com, linked me to this. So we will be featuring articles from this in the future. Look for that coming up in the year 2020, and as we close out 2019. Let's talk about aeroponics. Now, Wikipedia's got beef with this article because it's talking about how it may not be neutral and it contains content that's written like an advertisement. Turns out aeroponics may be a great solution for places with limited space, limited substrate, etc. We're not going to talk all about aeroponics, except that this is growing stuff and you don't even need any kind of a medium to grow it in. You're just growing it in the air and using mist. So anyway, here's some lettuce grown using aeroponics. And NASA's working on it, and lots of folks are working on it. There's a lot of this going on in the Far East. In fact, there's even a lettuce facility in Newark, New Jersey, producing millions of pounds of lettuce per year. So welcome to the Neo-Renaissance, folks. Have you checked out smAsho yet? Well, if you do, don't forget to scroll down, or you could just type in smAshomash.com/forum. You could scroll down and click on this to see our newly unveiled smAsho forum. Set yourself a login if you haven't done so yet. And let's talk about the ocean cleanup. Boyan Slat was on the Joe Rogan Experience recently, and he has begun the process of pulling plastic out of the ocean. Now, that's a good thing, folks. And I think that's their first haul. And there's a lot of plastic in the ocean, folks. And these plastics aren't just your average pollution. I mean, these things leach things like BPA into the oceans. Practically every animal in the ocean is found to have microplastics in its stomach. You may have microplastics in your stomach for all I know. But this is a great scenario here, the ocean cleanup. That went also on Principia Scientific. And here's a link to the Joe Rogan Experience show. Let me play you a teaser. There's Mr. Slat.
One way to look at problems is that it's kind of this chasm between human nature, human behavior.
So check that out. It's an interesting Joe Rogan Experience. Don't have a heart attack. And thanks again for tuning in, folks. We got a bonus feature for you here, as we do most days. Again, check out the smAsho forum, smAshomash.com/forum, where we've talked about cosmology and geospace, human health concerns, all sorts of stuff like that. Thanks, new subscribers on YouTube. Please don't forget to press like and subscribe if you enjoy the content. Please share on your social media, as we can't even seem to get to 1,500 subscribers, despite making hundreds and hundreds and hundreds of daily space weather videos. Also, check us out on Twitch, twitch.tv/smAshomash for the live streams. We haven't forgotten about Gamera. And one other thing, we are going back to Gamera eventually, sometime in 2020 perhaps, as the year is growing short. Don't forget to subscribe to Johns Hopkins Applied Physics Laboratory YouTube channel. I did. So should you, as there are always interesting videos. In fact, they've got an hour-long video about the discoveries from the most recent Parker Solar Probe data dump. Perhaps check that out. Again, please help to support the channel via Patreon. It's the real source of funding for these videos, and indeed our .org and everything else. So thanks again, patrons, for being associate producers of the show. Thanks, smAsh team, everybody who views, leave comments, etc. We're doing this for you as well as for our friends and family. So here's a bonus feature for you, folks. We're going to break out the 171 angstroms view here in the 48-hour movie format. So we'll be looking at the last 2 days of solar activity here. And we should see the full evolution of sunspot 2753 and 54. If it is able to load, come on, SDO. We know you can do it. There we go. And we do see some filaments in this view also down in the southwest. A little bit of filaments collapsing up there in the northwest. You can see the looping associated with sunspot, former sunspot 2754 as it sets in the northwest. We should get some great images of that throughout the day today. So anyway, thanks for tuning in, everybody. We are out. Don't forget to stare at the sun, and when you do so, don't drink it. If you drink, don't drive. And since it'll never be now again, may that solar wind be at your back and that atherosclerosis absent from your veins.